Welcome back to Think Global and Work Local podcast. And today we have a very special guest, Hiroki-san. Thank you so much for making the
Uh,
time.
it's my pleasure. Thank you very much for your invitation.
Yeah, so Hiroki-san, why don't you share us a little bit about your background and then what initially brought you to Taiwan?
I came to Taiwan in 2011, and in the first year of living in Taiwan, I was teaching Japanese in a grammar school in Hsinchu. And then second year, I studied my master degree at NTNU, National Taiwan Normal University. While I was a master student, I started my small business. And my business is language education. My business includes teaching one-on-one lesson. I also prepare teachers who want to learn Japanese, and then I match the Taiwanese students. Except for teaching Japanese, I also arrange cultural exchange between the high schools of Japan and Taiwan. So Taiwanese students go to Japan and Japanese students come to Taiwan to meet with each other and do some activities. So mostly two things that I'm doing in Taiwan.
You mentioned that you started this at the final year of your university. So what inspired you to actually start a language center in Taiwan and how did this idea come about?
When I was a master's student, actually, I have to earn money by myself. If you get a part-time in Taiwan, the hourly pay is not that good. If you just do a part-time, it's impossible to earn money to pay tuition. So I had no choice but to do the business. Before I came to Taiwan, I lived in Tohoku area of Japan. That was the place where there was a big earthquake hit that area. Literally, I was fired. So I started to look for another job to teach Japanese. I sent a resume to any language school abroad, including Vietnam, India, Singapore, or Hong Kong. And Taiwanese school contacted me first, so I choose to come to Taiwan.
It was like, oh, because something happened, like at the earthquake, and then it brought you to Taiwan. So when you actually first moved here, what aspects of like Taiwanese life do you actually find probably a bit different from when you had in Japan?
Of course, the language was different. At the time, I couldn't speak Chinese at all. The only words that I know is Chinese food,
Oh,
dishes name. That's it. Yeah, and climate is different. In Taiwan, it's so humid, much more humid than Japan.
I
And
agree.
what surprised me most was the cockroaches across the road.
You mentioned that now you moved here, so now it's been over a decade, right? Do you encounter any specific challenges, especially when you started?
Actually, that's a lot. But I want to share with the audience two things. The first is visa. Visa is the biggest problem for foreign people in Taiwan. If you want to open a business, you have to have a visa. If you start up a company, then maybe your visa will be entrepreneur visa. But this is a high standard. It's okay to open a company. I think that's not that difficult. But to renew your visa, your company has to have a certain amount of sales in the first year. And if you can't overcome this, then you can't renew the visa. Although there are some ways to, escape from these rules, but basically, you have to have a certain amount of sales, and it's not that easy for a small scale business.
Mhm.
So the visa is a one big problem. And
Mhm.
another thing, this is my personal thing. I started my business when I was a student. I didn't have any experience. I don't know how to communicate with people. Of course, Chinese skill is also a problem. I don't know how to, for example, attract the potential clients or how I have a meeting so that I can attract the clients. I don't know anything. I tried to do another thing, but I failed everything.
Before you start the language center, you actually tried different business opportunities.
Originally, I wanted to make a business that I can earn the advertising fee. Online dictionary will be a good media. If many people use this online dictionary, and then I can contact with a company who want to put advertisement on my online dictionary. That was my original idea. But how do you collect data for an online dictionary? That's a problem. So I contacted some Japanese companies that already have big data of the online dictionary. At the time, I was a student. So I contacted to the companies and I visited the companies. I told them I want to lend your data to make the dictionary for Taiwanese people. At the time, I didn't have a company. I did it by myself.
Wow, that's
And
so
then Of course, they think, the weird person came to the company and told them, let's data for free. I was scolded the company.
Mhm.
I was happy to succeed in meeting the CEO, but later, of course, they didn't give me data for free.
So actually looking back, like how many business venture or ideas that you tried before you finally like made a huge success with your language center here in Taiwan?
Originally, I was trying to look for Japanese client in Japan to teach English. Then I also had teachers who can teach English. So like a platform for learning language. They are learning English. The target was Japanese people in Japan. I felt this too. On the process of looking for clients, when I put advertisement, I said the teacher who can speak 5 languages. If you come to me, I teach you how you learn English very effectively. But
Mm.
actually, my Korean and Spanish level was not that fluent, maybe intermediate level. So many clients complained about this time. I didn't know that was my fault.
Oh, okay.
Maybe two things before reaching now the business of what I do.
You've kind of like always very good with learning languages since you're like teenagers or since you're like a kid, or it's just something that you develop later on.
For Japanese people, maybe my learning journey of English will be the same as other normal Japanese people. After I went to university, because I majored in English education, but I couldn't speak English at all. I studied to train my communicative skills of English. That was my first time. Before starting to train my communication skill, I just memorized knowledge and that's it. The memorizing knowledge is totally different from the communication skills. So I try to teach this thing to Japanese students.
Do you think like in the terms of like learning Chinese and learning Japanese, like the approach of learning that language, is it the same or it's different?
For me, it's the same, but the purpose, if your purpose is to communicate with people, and then you have to choose a way to improve your communication skills, not to memorize word or to get a high score on the test. That's totally different path. Many people, regardless of parents or kids, they know how they improve the language skills. Going abroad is the best way. Or
Yeah.
environment where you have to use this language is very important. Of course, I teach Japanese to Taiwanese people, but except for that, I send them to Japan so that they have chance to use Japanese.
Okay.
They are also willing to go to Japan to develop their Japanese language skills.
I'm really curious about your story because I think it's very interesting. Like you came here as a student and now like you're like a successful businessman. And so looking back, if there's like any one thing that you think your younger self should know, or you have kids, right? Like, is there anything that you want to tell your kids? Like, what would that advice would be?
I have many chances to talk with Japanese younger generation in their 20s. If you try something new, adults won't complain against you. They will help you. They're willing to support you, even if you fail. I did many stupid things, but adults never complain me. They try to help me. They try to give me some resources they have, money, people, idea. If you fail, you lose your confidence. But if you have adults that support you, you still can try. So I usually tell the young generation that try something new before you become 30.
That is actually a really good advice that I could relate right now personally, and I think it would be like so when you face it like failures or challenges, like how do you usually pick yourself back up?
One thing that helped me a lot is that Japanese people in Taiwan who already succeeded in the business, they spend time for me to have a meeting. Then they give me advice. They never complain or criticize. I think it's very important to have a mentor, the people who already have the experience of overcoming this kind of difficulties, but they understand my feeling.
So let's say like if you just really get out of like university, then like you're just literally starting to think about work and all that, you're very young, and probably your mentor is already like successful. So in that situation,
Mm.
like how did you offer value back to them?
I met my mentor when I failed in my business many times. At the time, I learned that the basis of business is to make people happy. The basis of business is not to earn money first. You can't be a profit oriented. You have to be a person's mind oriented. The mentor didn't tell me in words, but he gave me chance and he let me learn. But I think many people will find mentor, maybe they use the internet or something, but I don't recommend to use the internet to find a mentor. Meeting a mentor is a natural thing. In the process of trying something new, when you're struggling, you have a chance to meet a good mentor. Of course, you can use the internet. When you see the newspaper or magazine, then you see someone who interests you, then you can contact. But that's okay too. But after you meet many people, you know who is suitable for you, who is not suitable.
Because I actually just started my own business. So I really resonate when you say, like, oh, the first thing that you should remember is to make people happy first, not focusing on making profit or making money.
Yes, exactly. The money is the exchange of the gratitude.
I feel like you're actually very deep, like you're very wise. Do you read like a certain book, or do you have like a certain, like, just if there's like one book that you recommend for people to read?
Balance sheet, profit sheet kind of thing. I read these kind of books, but later I found out the mindset is more important than the skills of earning money. Then I'm Japanese. I was born in Japan. So that's why I'm trying to explore how I can contribute to Taiwan and Japan. So now the books that I'm reading is more like a history of Japanese Taiwan, Japanese Taiwanese histories kind of.
So because you've seen both worlds of like Taiwan and Japan, and you're in education, and probably what is the biggest difference that you've seen?
Regardless of Japan and Taiwan, the education over 100 years ago cherishes the mindset, the spirit, or religion, the things that are important as a human being. For example, we learn the punctuality to make a promise with friends. For as a Japanese people, we think, okay, we can't be late. So we have to be ready 5 minutes or 10 minutes before the meeting time. Being late means you deprive time of your friends. So these kind of things that as a human being, we have to cherish the idea. But now we just focus on more like cramming knowledge, like a materialistic kind of. If we don't think of this, maybe we just focus on, the business thing, how you earn money, how you can survive, something like that. If we just pursue the profits, then people all over the world always compete with each other. I don't want this kind of world. We want to make a world that we can make friends with each other to make peace or something. So I think to make this happen, I think it's important to learn history.
Wow, okay, that's a really good explanation there, because you just literally described the educational philosophy, and I think it's very deep. And I
Hmm.
feel nowadays, especially the younger generations, they just focus on, like you said, like materialistic things, right? Like focus on making money. Like we've been in Taiwan for more than 10 years. Is there anything that makes you feel, oh, I really like Taiwan. That's why I stayed this long?
Actually, I didn't like Taiwan. When I tried business when I was a college student, many people helped me a lot. I knew that Taiwanese people very energetic, very supportive. They are so passionate. So I studied to like Taiwan. So I still stay in Taiwan not because I like to do business. I stay in Taiwan because I like Taiwanese people. Japanese people in Taiwan who always try something new. They inspire me a lot.
If there is any one thing that you wish Taiwan could
Mm.
change.
Of course, Taiwan is now in a very difficult situation politically. Regardless of Taiwan's governments or enterprises, they are trying to do something new to overcome this situation. I think Taiwan has lots of very interesting cultures, people. I hope Taiwan should notice that Taiwan already has something very valuable that can be proud of to the world already. Taiwan can value the culture we have already here in Taiwan. Maybe it's very difficult for Taiwanese people to find something that's good for Taiwan. But for other foreign people, it's easier to find what's good in Taiwan. We have a perspective, a foreigner's perspective that we don't have in my country.
Yeah. So what would that one thing be?
Actually, Taiwan has many cities and towns. When foreign people come to Taiwan as sightseeing, they just go to big cities like Taipei, Tainan, or Taichung. But actually, Taiwan has many places like East Part. They have Yilan, Hualien, Taitung. They have many good resources to attract foreign people. But they're still trying to make efforts to attract tourists. I think they can develop more, you know. For Taiwan, for big cities, they don't have to do anything. But for small towns, I think they have more interesting Taiwanese cultures that many people don't know. For
Wow.
example, just an old house built 100 years ago. They're interesting. If they just renovate a little bit, I think I want to stay there.
It just depends on like how you see it, right?
And many times, Taiwanese people think all things are not viable, or actually no. They have a history. They have background story. But if you tell them, they will be moved. But they don't know this. I mean, the local Taiwanese people don't know this. I think they can do more.
Well, Hiroki-san, I think your story is very inspiring. Like, especially you started from zero and then now you're a business that is successful. So it actually inspires people that, hey, like I could do this in a foreign country, so you could do it too. So
Mm.
if it's just like one advice, or probably like for the foreign people that is now outside of Taiwan, but they're looking probably to move to Taiwan, or like Taiwanese people overseas, they're looking to come back, but they're still not sure what to do when they come back. If there is like just one advice,
I think if you have the skill that you have a client at where you are, you will become confident because you have a basis of how you do the small business, how you can attract customer, how you provide values to the clients. If you have the successful experience, then you will become confident. Then I think it's going to push you to come to Taiwan, or if you push you to foreign country to try new thing. I think the first part will be to do something, the small business, like, you provide value and you get money. Also, volunteering is okay too, but you can't keep volunteering all the time
yeah,
because you have to exchange money and gratitude. Then if you
right.
have this experience, and then I think that will drive you to business in a bigger scale. If you accumulate this experience, I think you will become more confident.
Well, Hiroki-san, thank you so much for sharing your insight. So in case the audience out there, they want to connect with you or like they want to probably send their kids or nephews or cousins to your language center, like what is the best way to reach out to you?
Please put my personal Facebook link or screenshot. Yeah, please always welcome to add me as a friend. I hope if we have chance to collaborate internationally, not only Taiwan, between Taiwan and Japan, but also Vietnam, Thailand. I want to try if we have chance. Yeah.
And so if you guys are interested, please go check on the description below. And Hiroki-san, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
See you guys on the next episode of the Global and Work Local podcast.